Today we're going for barn owls. Well, hello and welcome to an edition of Camilla and I. I'm Mark Cooper, and today we're on the hunt for the barn owl. And well, you don't have far to look in this country, because basically where there's a barn there's usually an owl box. The farmers in England and in Britain have been very good at putting up nesting boxes for barn owls, so we don't usually have to search too far. But the one thing we do have to be very careful of at this time of year is that we don't disturb them. So I've picked a day when it's raining, so I won't be disturbing the barn owls at all, because it is that time of year when they will be nesting and raising chicks. So the eggs should be in the box, if there's a pair in this box, I don't know. So we have to be very careful when photographing barn owls, because they are a category grade 1 listed bird here in the UK, and they're very rare, well, reasonably rare. In the right area there's quite a few around. There's at least 4 or 5 around here I know of. Anyway, on to the show. What we're going to show you, well, basically we're not going to disturb the barn owls at all, and what we're going to do today is work from the car. We're not actually getting out of the car at all. This is a rare excursion, 15 yards. As you can see, I'm the other end of the barn, not disturbing the barn owl at all, and it's raining, so it won't be going out to hunt anytime soon. So what we'll be looking for along the path, along the road here, is perches where barn owls may rest or indeed hunt from prey from. So these will have telltale little poo signs on and things like that, so we can note these locations for when we come along further on. And also we'll be looking for other things that we can photograph at the same time, because on Camilla and I, we're rather an opportunist wildlife photographer. Although we've come for the barn owl, we will be looking for kestrels, linked to a kestrel shot taken on the corner of this very barn, and red kites, other birds. So let's crack on, see what we can get. So I met Steve here the other night. He was wearing his full camouflage gear, absolutely superb ghillie suit, and matching tripod ghillie as well, blanket. Absolutely brilliant, moulded in a treat. And he did get some shots, backlit shots I believe, of the barn owl. He did show me the back of the camera, and yeah, very nice Steve too. But he had been in his ghillie suit for 2.5 hours before he got the barn owl, so well done Steve. So on Camilla and I, we're always interested in trees like these in particular, because these can support larger birds, and indeed this is where we got the kestrel tree, and also we got a red kite perched in a tree. And indeed I think that's the first red kite I've really had perched in a tree. So we're not in a local feeding farm here. They are still relatively rare, well, relatively widespread here. Well, a bit of a giveaway here. The gates and the fencing indicate to me that's a pheasant rearing area. So it's here the other night in beautiful light. It was absolutely gorgeous light. I managed to get this pheasant both here and against this strip of undulation, a strip that the farmers very nicely left for wildlife between the fields, and it's given this sort of green rainbow pattern which I exploited for the pheasant shot when it was walking. Well, you won't actually be able to see, but through there we do actually have another pheasant pecking away, feeding on the ground. It's not quite as spectacular as the other night's shot, but I'll see if I can get a bit of video through the tree line just to give you the idea. Just over here. So when you take a photograph for a competition or anything, it doesn't matter what the degree of difficulty is. I mean, I could say, oh, I begged the farmer to set up a tent in the corner of the field, and I staked this pheasant out for 3 days, and I was there noon and night, and never left the tent for 3 days. No, what a load of rubbish. I took this shot in a 5-minute spell, literally pulled up here. I'd already noticed the background, the sweeping field arc, and I'd also noticed the ability to separate the subject from the background, which is another key aspect in wildlife photography. So yeah, it's not how difficult it was to get the shot, it's what the shot actually is that counts. The judges, to be fair to them, they don't know whether you spent 3 days in a field or whether you spent 5 minutes in a car. It's the shot, unfortunately, that counts. Not the most difficult shot, not the most difficult subject, but worth a photograph. So here we have absolutely perfect area for a barn owl to hunt along, hunting along the edge of the road, and indeed this is where I've photographed them in the past. Absolutely beautiful, silent killer, an amazing bird. So we've been very successful here and in the past on Salisbury Plain. I'll indeed link to my best shots, most of them taken with the A9 II, and the latter ones taken with the new Sony A1. And just such a marvellous subject, the barn owl. Just can't resist to come out and photograph them. Obviously today we're just videoing because we knew the barn owls wouldn't be around, so they're in the barn behind, tucked up nice and safe and sound, I should imagine, waiting for the rain to stop. So yeah, we're not disturbing them at all. So some hints when photographing barn owls: I wouldn't worry too much about the shutter speed. I'd go from anywhere from 1/500th of a second to 1/2000th of a second to totally freeze the wing beats. But it's quite nice to have a bit of movement in the wings, and indeed when the barn owls come out, it's usually early in the morning or later on towards sunset, and the light levels have reduced, so it's a good opportunity to be able to drop your shutter speed to 1/500th of a second, 1,000th of a second, just to put a bit of movement in the wings, and it makes them look a little bit more natural, linked to a couple at 1/500th of a second. Just gives a slightly more motion effect. So obviously barn owls don't fly in the rain, very sensible. What a good bird after my own heart. And indeed most of the images I have actually captured from the car, or indeed very close to the car, linked to some manoeuvres I did around the car the other morning. I didn't actually get any shots on this particular occasion, but it was a beautiful sunrise, and yeah, but yeah, you can see me dancing around the car in order to get the shots, and this is what indeed I do if I'm not just literally sitting in the car. But using the car as a hide is a very good bet, and indeed I wouldn't get out of the car at this time of year because they are nesting. So yeah, stay in the car. A good one post COVID-19. So if it's your first outing out after 12 months and you want a safe subject still in the car, barn owls, very good. As long as you can find a suitable location and a suitable road such as this one. Well, at this point, Camilla and I say, here's a link to some earlier shots, just like Blue Peter. Here's some we made earlier from this very location, because we're not going to get any barn owl shots today, not in weather like this. Yeah, so barn owls are the easiest owl to photograph because they do hunt during the day, so you can see them out anytime. But yeah, mostly sunset and sunrise here on Camilla and I. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the hunt for the barn owl. Well, hopefully I've inspired you to go on a hunt for the barn owl. Just remember they are a category 1 bird, so don't go stalking them or cornering them in a barn. Obviously respect private property. I mean, you're not allowed in a barn. But yeah, anyway, have a good one, and we'll see you in the next one.